not about to go deep with Dan.
But it is good. It's finally good to have you here, Candice.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's taken me, it's been months, I think.
Yeah, I think I may have even contacted you like a year ago or two to come on.
I said to Matt before I came tonight, I'm like, I feel so bad. Like I've just cancelled on Dan like the last sort of 3 times we tried to organise it in the last couple of months. And then I was like, actually, I think he asked me a couple of years ago.
Hey, you're not the only one, believe me, but it's just like that. You get projects come up. I mean, it's the nature of the beast of the industry we're in, right?
Totally, yeah.
But it's good that you've been busy. That's why every time I'm like, don't worry about it. It's all good. I'm glad you're getting work, you know, like and everything. So
yeah, it's just uncanny how things, when it rains, it pours and it all happens in the same week or,
And I felt like that was a lot of people at the start of this year. Like a few people that I had like, yep, I'm keen to do it. Let's go. And then all of a sudden, like literally the first episode I was trying to do of the year, it was like 3 or 4 people just like, oh, I got this. I got an audition for this. Oh man, I'm so sorry. And I'm just like, it's cool. It's good. It's good to hear everyone's busy. There's a lot of work coming around the industry in Queensland.
It does feel a bit busier. I mean, the last few years have been pretty quiet for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But it feels like there's change in the air, which is nice.
That is fantastic. Yeah. Well, there was a lot of projects coming here over at the back end of COVID though too, right? Like a lot of opportunities coming up because Australia was one of the few that were actually like kind of open and filming. And I think we got a few projects because of that obviously too.
Yeah, definitely.
And a lot of people getting breaks like with the TV series and things like that we're shooting here. And I mean, I did a little scouting and looking on your IMDb lately, and I mean, you've been in a few like bigger things that have come here too, like the feature films, right? Like Swimming Gold, was it?
Swimming for Gold.
Yeah, Swimming for Gold and Love and Bloom. I saw that, and you're actually in the trailer straight off the bat as well.
I know, that's pretty much the whole. That's all I
wondered that part, because it went to Australia straight away, and I'm like, hold on a minute, she's playing an American ship.
I'm the first opening 5 minutes, and that's it. That's a great little, not little, production company, decent sized production company, Jaggy Entertainment. So I scored a gig with them on Swimming for Gold, and then they just moved up from Sydney, and so I just kind of befriended Steve and a couple of the staff there, and kind of been on a crazy ride with them, learning a lot about the industry and obviously auditioning for, their films when the roles come up.
Yeah.
So I've done 3, I think, for them in front of the camera. There's one that hasn't been released yet. They've just done the final, I think it's actually just been finished.
The final cut.
So the colour and sound grades have all been done.
Yeah.
But I've also worked in crew with those guys as well. And
cool.
I shadow directed on one of them. So they're kind of trying to get me down the directing avenue, which I'm open to. I was really fortunate that kind of carried me through that COVID period. I also did a couple of commercials that were COVID based, I guess, like White Lady Funerals and something else. So I guess I was probably one of the lucky ones that got to do a little bit of stuff during that dry period.
Yeah. I remember seeing your RACQ ad on quite a bit.
God, yeah. I had to fight for my rollover for that one.
Oh, did you?
You guys, you didn't pay me. So I was pretty fortunate, to be honest. I mean, it's funny because like during that time, I actually felt like, I don't know if you felt similar, I actually felt kind of relieved because I was
everything slowed down for a little bit.
Yeah, and I didn't have to hustle and I wasn't missing out because everyone wasn't doing anything, you know?
Yeah.
I was kind of grateful for the break in a way. And then the work as it came through was just a bit of a cherry on top. So,
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people said that, right? Like that everything's slowing down, got a perspective of where you were at with your career or whatever it was that you're actually doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally didn't stop working the whole time, so I didn't really get much of a break. I kind of, obviously I feel for the people that had a lot lesser circumstances and things like that, but I would have liked the break. That would have been fun.
Yeah, well, see, my other half, Matt, he's a builder, so like that's what I do when I'm not acting. I work in our business, so technically we didn't take a break from that.
Okay, yeah.
That was pretty full on actually.
Yeah, well, they got really busy, right?
Got really busy, but we all lost money, so it was a fake boom essentially.
Okay. And materials were really hard to come by, and it was expensive. Yeah.
We had like a bunch of fixed price contracts, which is why a lot of builders went under.
Yeah.
I know it's not acting talk, but
no, it's fine.
But that's what happened. That's what else we were dealing with during that time, and it was really actually terrifying for us because we almost lost everything, and there's a lot of companies that went under. So yeah, we didn't get to stop in that regard.
Okay,
but I guess mentally for me as a performer, creative, there's always like this sort of never ending, I don't know, sense of like I'm not doing enough and I should be doing more. And I think that was put to rest during that time. I gave myself permission to just not even think about, being creative for a bit.
Yeah.
And then out of that, I started writing actually. So that was cool. I'd never thought about writing. I had thought about writing, but not seriously. And I never gave myself the time to do it.
Yeah. Because you're so focused on the acting side of things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just life, you know, you just get busy.
It gets pretty
so
overwhelming.
much junk.
Yeah. It's a funny feeling like I'm not doing enough and then you start to like if you're on the socials a lot and you start to see people getting things a lot of the time. Yeah, that's a funny reaction.
Yeah,
I feel the same way. I've gone more and more away from it a lot, and it's tough because maybe not so much for the acting side of things, although that plays a part in influence as getting gigs and I know taken away from actors a lot of the times, which can be a touchy subject for people that work really hard on to get these gigs and get these auditions, and then you're missing out to someone who's never acted in their life and they just got a bit of a following. But it's a funny thing to take away from it, right? It's hard because like for something like this, I'm trying to promote the podcast and get people to listen, or watch it, and that comes with social media a lot of the times. And I've just, I used to be into it a lot more. And then I just more and more I found myself pulling away from it and not feeling great about it when I go on. I'm lucky if I go on and scroll for like a minute or two now. And I'm like, and so I'm seeing the same person's, just stuff pop up and I'm liking that. And then I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah.
As soon as I get that feeling, I'm just like, I'm good.
Yeah, I did that today. I don't know why I picked up the phone. I was actually doing pays. And then I was like trying to find maybe someone's birthday or something, I don't know. And then I was like, just started scrolling. I was like, ugh, what am I doing? And then I saw someone post like an announcement of a gig that they've just booked and, and it's like this weird dichotomy for me of like, I'm not jealous when other people get work. Like I'm moved beyond that. But I think there's a way when you're an artist or a creative, to celebrate your wins with being more mindful, I think, of your peers.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I struggle with. I'm just like, do you have any idea like how kind of arrogant that looks? Maybe you could be a little bit more mindful. And I just go, ugh, I hate this industry. And then I just like, just put the phone down.
Yeah.
Because it's just, people are so desperate to be approved of. And, in that plight, I guess, it leaves a trail of destruction. I don't know. It's a really hard thing to balance, to be able to celebrate your wins, but also be sensitive towards the fact that someone else who is probably happy for you might struggle with the way you deliver the news. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my plight with social media. I just think people become so self-involved and excited for themselves, which isn't a bad thing, but we forget to be mindful
of everyone else. And it's often that they are the people that are like your peers or whatever that are following you, right? It's just all acting people, like, family and friends, normal friends, I'll say, with putting that in a way. But it's those ones that are following you and seeing that and you're like, oh God, like, you could go another way about it. Yeah, there's definitely a few people that do
mute.
that. Yeah.
Love you, but mute.
Yeah, that's a handy thing for exes and and people that annoy you. Yeah, it's a funny thing because you feel like you got to. I remember when I first started out in the industry, like that was the thing, and you actually kind of got gigs because of it, because people saw you were busy. And they're like, I want them on my thing, Oh, they're getting this and this and this. I think that'd be great for the thing that I'm writing or producing or whatever it is. And it's funny that, you actually can pick up a bit of work that way. But I think, the cream rises to the top, obviously. And if you put the hard work in and you just as well as I do, networking is a huge part of this thing. But there's a way to go about it, and strumming your own ego or whatever you're looking for in that realm is, sometimes can put people off too. Yeah.
I'm probably could be better at it. I'm all for like promoting projects. I think like when work comes out that I've been a part of that I'm super proud of, I try and promote the project and go, this is awesome. Look at what these guys made.
Yeah.
And try, you know, celebrate the collaborative part of filmmaking or whatever it is that you're a part of. So it's not so narcissistic.
It's not just me. Yeah. Look at what I did.
But I mean, you know, I'm not perfect and everyone's just doing the best they can, I guess.
Yeah,
so.
I think so. And you mature and you learn, you know, with age and as you go on and you start moving a different way.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like social media has definitely made me insecure. It's made me, I don't know, really second guess myself because when it first started, like Facebook, I didn't have a MySpace, but like, because I was like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But I got a Facebook and I remember like the whole idea of it in the very beginning was awesome. It was like you could find people that you went to school with that you didn't have phone numbers for and you could like get in touch and like show your lives, you know, like in a really kind of wholesome, authentic way. And I felt like the premise of how it started was so pure and awesome.
Yeah.
And I was all for that.
Yeah.
And then it just became this whole other beast. And so I think it's trying to use it in a way that, like, there's still so many benefits for me, like in people that I'm in touch with, that I love, that I talk to, that keeps people in your world. And I guess just trying to have a healthy relationship with it and muting the people that trigger you or following the things that feed you and not necessarily make you feel insecure.
Yeah.
So
no, I feel the same way.
I've
had a similar relationship with it as well. Like it was awesome to see. Like you want people to be doing well. You want them to get gigs. Like it's awesome to see that, like progressing in their careers and everything like that. But it just turned into just a juggernaut of information overload sort of thing and stimulation in certain other ways. And now it's just like all marketing, isn't it? And it's just ad driven and it's just information.
It's boring.
And,
boring.
Yeah, it's a shame. I remember when they changed the Facebook algorithm, like, and you used to see everything like in order as that would be posted, and now it's, you know, just the people that it's so curated towards, you know, they try to trigger in on everything.
Yeah.
And I used to like going through and set, you know, like, and going, oh yeah, okay, I've already seen that. So yeah, sweet, I've done my dash, like that'll be off. But now it's just like I'm seeing the same thing after the same thing, and then 10,000 ads, and I'm just like, I mean, I think it makes you appreciate the real world and the world that we live in though a lot more, and you get out in nature, you know, where you connect with people. Like this is why, I mean, it's one reason why I started the podcast, because how often do you really sit across from someone else for like an hour and a half and 2 hours? Is it?
My hands.
Yeah. No. Anything that makes you feel comfortable. You've already got the slant lean back to the side.
I'll relax into it.
Yeah, that's it. But I mean, you know, like it's such a valuable thing. Like how awesome are those kind of connections that you make with people, and you have some of the most amazing conversations when you're just one-on-one, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I sort of try to bring back with the whole thing, and especially with other performers as well, because usually when you catch up with people, you're on set and there's a million things going on. It's such a different vibe when, as you know, when you're on set, it's another world from the one we live in, basically. Yeah. And it's just, everybody's just so heightened, and it's amazing and it's fun. Yeah. And it's a huge adrenaline dump as well. And then when you go away from the project, you like feel a type of way about everything, and you're just like, oh, you know, but you sometimes, and then you don't see those people for a long time, or maybe, you know, ever as well. So, and that's where I guess the socials come in, and you see what they're up to, like, awesome, you're getting that project and stuff like that. But I mean, you said something before, like you celebrate the collaborative process that is, you know, filmmaking and everything like that. And it's probably one of the most special parts, I think, of the art form, right? Is just that whole, everybody coming in with their own skills and like their visions with everything. And then it just turns, obviously, as you know, into such a different thing when you're on set. Like sometimes, you know, you know that character, you're like, oh yeah, I know it inside out. And you go to set, and then the director's got a different way, and then you're bouncing off that other actor, and it just becomes this whole different thing and lives in front of you, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I did a project just recently, which got posted on my socials. But I actually was like, go over to this page to watch it, because it's got a lot of swearing in
Safari?
it. Yes.
Yeah, and I was looking for it. I'm like, where's the link? You didn't tell me what the link was.
No, because I mean, it's brilliant. Jake Moss is this amazing guy. And actually, like, even that just came so left of center. And I'd been doing a lot of meditation. I meditate and journal and do a lot of different things to kind of, I guess, manage my mental health. And and just day-to-day life, trying to make sense of life. And I had really been feeling a sense of like something's coming left of center, like, and just say yes. And I was like, okay, didn't mean anything. And there was all these things. I had an opportunity to be on a reality show, which I got quite far along in. And I just said yes. I was like, don't want to do reality, but okay, left of center. And then a friend of mine, Jake Doak, I don't know if you know Jake.
I don't think so, no.
He's a bloody legend. Love you, Jake. Anyway, he reached out to me randomly and on social media, as a matter of fact.
It has its benefits.
Oh my God, I'm going to be eating my words by the end of the night. And he was like, hey, there's a really cool project that I'm producing and working on, and I think you'd be great for this role. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll have a look at it. And it's funny, like I don't say yes to everything, particularly as I get older. Like my time and my energy is worth something. And so if it's not paid work, then it has to tick a few boxes, right? So anyway, I read parts of the script that I needed to read in order to sort of say yes or no to the project. And I went, whoa, she's rough. I don't know. I think it might be in me somewhere. It is. It's totally in there. Anyway, and I said, okay, I'll go meet the director. And what do you want me to prepare? Nothing. Don't prepare anything. No audition, nothing. I was like, okay. So he's like, I'll just vouch for you. I was like, okay, cool. So I go to meet the director, and he's actually a painter, like he's a visual artist, and just one of the most inspiring people I've ever met. And he reminded me of a younger version of an Australian director that I had just worked with. His name's Colin Budds. And he's a painter as well in his spare time. And I was just like, just talking to this young guy, Jake, it was like I'd met Colin, like, back in his 20s. Like, it was amazing. Anyway, so I was just so inspired by him. And we just talked about life and the story and the character. And at the end of it, he goes, yeah, okay, so do you want to do it? I was like, so that was my audition?
Yeah.
Anyway, and I was like, yeah, I think I do. That'd be cool. So I get the script, and it's like nothing. It's not really my castable type. It's not something that would come through my agent or a casting director ever, because it's just not what I would fit type-wise.
Yeah.
And so I relished in the opportunity. But what I loved so much about that whole experience is that he was just about storytelling, making art, like just all of the things, like being truthful and authentic, and all of the things, I guess, that pulls us to storytelling and filmmaking. And it was so satisfying. And here I am in the middle of nowhere, like so stupid hot. Like, those days where it's like 30-something degrees, the humidity's so thick.
Just in your face, yeah.
Like, and the sky is like grey, like it's about to crack open. And I'm in like PJs and like the biggest, fluffiest, pink, warmest, like, what do you call it, bathrobe.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I fucking love this. I don't know. It was just something about the whole experience. It was so magical. And when I think about it, it's because I knew a lot of the people that were working on that set in different capacities that they would normally be working in. So like they're all actors or, in the industry in some way or form, but they were wearing different hats to usual.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is what I love, because, I'm an actor, but I'm also writing, and I'm currently producing and about to direct my own feature, which is very ambitious. And he and the team just inspired me so much. And I was like, oh, that's right. This is why I do this. I love being around people who want to tell a story.
Yeah.
And it's not about anything else other than just being really truthful about that story. And I think the kicker for me was when we filmed a bunch of scenes, and it was the role I was playing was someone in his life, in real life. And he showed it to a bunch of people, and they were like, oh, is that so-and-so? And they just picked it straight away. Yeah. And that to me was so gratifying, just to be like, oh, thank you. Like, I don't know, and that's why we do what we do. And obviously I'd love to do that and earn a shit ton of money as well.
Just putting that out there.
That would be really nice, universe. But yeah, I think it was just that collaboration. And then in the down times when you're just hanging out and getting to know people. And like Moss was so inspiring because it was like we wouldn't talk about industry stuff. We just talk about life. Like, okay, there's like 5 of us sitting around waiting and like so different, like as far as every demographic was represented. And he's like, so what's the thing if you said it out loud that would get you cancelled? I'm like, really? Is this safe? Like, and he's like, there is no judgment in this room. And so we all just was like, we were just saying things that, that might get me cancelled.
Yeah.
People might not like me if I said that out loud. Like, that was brilliant. What? And so anyway, so Jake, if you ever listen to this, I freaking love you. You're so inspiring. He's now over in Barcelona painting, and he's doing like an artist residency in Barcelona.
Wow.
He's amazing. He's like, so I'm just like, how cool that I got to meet someone like that.
Yeah.
Just through this collaborative experience.
Process, yeah.
So cool.
And what was that a way of bonding or letting go or just embodying things when he was getting you to say the cancelling thing or whatever? Like what was was it just general conversation?
Oh no, it was just us hanging out.
Yeah.
That had nothing to do with
it was
anything.
just a laugh.
That's what I mean. I love it. It's like, we just did some crazy shit where we all yelled at each other and like lots of F's and C's.
Yeah.
And because like, I try to kill my son in the thing. Like it's pretty fucked up.
Pretty full on, okay.
It's really full on.
Yeah.
Anyway, and so we've just done like these crazy ass scenes. Then we've got to wait for the sun to go down so we can shoot night for night. And so we're just sitting on the couch, just wasting time and just hanging out. I was just like, this is so refreshing.
It's a funny thing. It's cool because you feel so comfortable around these people that you don't
You've
even
never
know.
Met.
Yeah.
I know. That is cool though, right?
It's amazing.
Like
that was
not in every industry.
Well, I remember when I first started out and it was like you felt kind of accepted or you were in your place where you could actually be free and say what you wanted to do and do what you wanted to do. And people were just like, I feel you, man. Like, let's go.
Cool.
Like, and it just heightens from there. And it's just, I think that is one of the amazing things about the industry, that when you find your people, your tribe, right?
Totally.
And when you feel so discluded in normal life maybe, or not quite fitting in like everybody else or what have you, or you can't say those little jokes or those inappropriate things and comments that you want to. But when you do have that freedom to express yourself like that, it just, you feel, embodied and empowered within whatever it is you're trying to discover about yourself.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience.
What's the film about then? Are you allowed to talk about it much?
It's about his childhood, but it's also fictional. So it's set in Woodridge. So anyone that lives in Queensland knows that Woodridge is a little bit rough.
Yeah.
And it's about a young boy that goes missing. That's probably without giving it away anything.
Away too much, yeah.
It's that, I don't know if you end up seeing the trailer.
No, I didn't. No.
It's so good. He's just
I will watch it though,
such a master. He's just super creative. And I just felt really inspired. So from that, I had been toying with an idea of like making my own. Like I've made a short film before, and then another friend of mine was like, you should just make a feature. Just do something. Here's all my cameras. Here's all my gear. He's a producer. And I was like, all right. So I just came up with an idea, and it's in the works. We shoot first week of May. And I was umming and ahhing, and then I worked with Jake and just saw this process and how like they just kind of just did it. They didn't make a big deal about it. It was like, we're just doing this thing. And I was like, I'm just going to make some art with some friends.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but like it's going to be cool. Like we're all going to get to like make something. Again, it's that process of collaboration, and like I've got some amazing people that have said yes. And I'm just like, really? Is it that good? The idea is cool. They're like, yeah. So, I don't know. I just went off track then.
No, it's fine. Yeah.
I also do that a lot. Sorry.
It's beautiful. That's what this is all about. It's an open form podcast.
Edit. What were we talking about?
We were saying, so you kind of transition from that feeling that you got from doing Hood Safari and being around those people, and then you've gotten the collaborative process, and you just, for lack of a better word, said, fuck it, I'm just doing it, and I'm going for it.
It just really inspired me, I think. And I wonder if that some people are probably just born like that. Like I feel like Jake's someone that's just born like that. He's like, I don't subscribe to like the norms, the normal, like he, you know, didn't finish art school and didn't finish film school. And here he is like making a solid name for himself and making some incredible artwork, film, paintings, whatever. And some people are born like that. And then I think others of us find that along the way.
Yeah.
And I think for me, for a long time, I had really, well, I don't know if they're unrealistic expectations. I'm a dreamer. I still am a dreamer. I still think, you know, that there's even bigger opportunities that await me in acting.
Yeah.
I think you have to be in order to do what we do. I think there has to be an element of
For sure, yeah.
dreaming and a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Until you do it and then everyone's like, I knew you could do it. You're like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
you thought I was nuts.
Thanks for it before.
Yeah. So, but what I've been kind of getting better at is taking charge and trying to find the joy back in it all again. Because I think for a while there it was all about, I just need to make money from this. Like I'm good enough to make money from this and that's what I should be doing. That's what I want to get paid to do. And I think that's fair to go on that journey because there's a lot of people out there who do just act and get paid to just act.
Yeah.
But when it doesn't happen for you, you know, like it does for others and in that kind of big way, I think there comes a point where you want to take control. And I got sick of waiting. And also I got sick of like trying to please everybody. All these casting directors who are just not looking at me for whatever reason. And not because they don't like me, but I'm just, what I have to offer isn't needed right now because of diversity or because of COVID or because of whatever. Like who cares? So rather than sitting around and moping about that, what is a story that I can tell that's still relevant and worthy of being made or told? And so I just kind of started, taking charge and going, all right, well, I want to tell my story. And, you know, and I was in a weird culty Pentecostal church through my 20s. I was married to a pastor. And I was like, that's a fucking great story.
That is a great story.
And it's being slapped all over the media, like media at the moment with like Hillsong and all that sort of stuff. So, so I wrote a pitch document for a TV series based on my life. And then I had a meeting with a producer and they were like, well, let's come up with some ideas where you can play the lead in a film. And I'm like, okay. So then I, came up with a few other ideas and they didn't go with any of them. So then I said to my old mate, Cameron Hurry, who's brilliant, hey, we should write this idea that you and I thought about. So then we wrote a feature film. And then my other friend, Bianca, was like, hey, we should write about this. This is a really cool idea. So just started doing that. And that's somewhat fulfilling. Like going, I'm just doing things that are creative and whether they grow legs and go somewhere, which would be fucking amazing, or even if they don't, I did that,
But you're taking charge once again.
Yeah, you feel empowered, you feel more in control.
It's fulfilling to actually, it's probably a story that you always wanted to tell or something that you have organically building up inside you that maybe you just need to let out and putting it into the creative space, into something that you love to do.
Yeah.
Is the amazing part about it.
Yeah. I mean, the message is, when you peel it all back in all of them, is I am enough. So that is like the message that rings true.
Yeah.
In every even the action comedy genre, it's like, no, I'm enough. Like that's the through line, which is obviously something I'm trying to prove to myself in my life always, that I'm enough. And that's hard to come to that conclusion in an industry that constantly rejects you. I mean, even today I had a phone call saying that I didn't get a role in a theatre gig that I had a call back for.
Yeah.
I got an email back from Paramount basically saying, thanks, bye. I found out someone else got offered a role in something that I auditioned for. Like it was literally like 3 or 4, like, I guess, rejection in inverted commas. That was just today, like
it's just a normal day.
And just to be like, I'm resilient, I'm enough. That is probably a lifelong journey.
Yeah. Do you think that's why you started out in the industry in the first place?
I don't know. I've always performed. So I was one of those kids that, from primary school was in musical theatre and theatre groups and singing groups and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just something that I feel so alive because it isn't something that everybody can do.
No, of course not.
Like I remember back when I worked in retail and I got like a day player role on a film. I can't remember what. Might have even been that Swimming for Gold one.
Yeah.
And it was such a silly part. Like,
are you good for water?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Sorry, I drink heaps.
Do you go to the toilet? Yeah.
No, I've gone, 2 or 3 hours before without going.
Oh, wowzers.
Drinking on a podcast, yeah.
Hectic.
Yeah, got a bit wild, but yeah.
And I remember, so the day before I was at work in this retail store, the day of, it was the most physical comedy role I've ever done. I fucking loved it. I lived for that shit. And I was just nutso. I was like, I kind of felt like Jim Carrey, if I'm going to be honest. I was like living my dream. And then the next day I was back in the retail store.
Yeah.
And rather than being all blue and like sad about it, I was kind of like, yeah, I can act. Like, I can sell you bed sheets and I can act. And not everyone can say that.
Just
like, I just worked on set yesterday. Like who, that's just not normal. So, I don't know what it is that like got me in the first place. I just think there's just this, nothing compares to like to becoming somebody else, doing something else that you don't normally do in your life.
Or that you're not allowed to do.
True.
Yeah.
And then making people laugh is pretty great. Or making them just feel in general is great. Like if
Just
they
feel
cry
something,
because of something you did, like that just feels good to be able to make people feel. Like I think people are so numb and I don't know, just always loved it. It's always been there. And even when I was involved in the church world through my 20s and I felt like it was kind of taboo, like I switched all of that acting stuff off. Because, I had a weird belief, and not that anyone told me I couldn't, but I guess it was more like, well, I can't do that because I'm a pastor's wife and like I shouldn't swear and I can't kiss somebody else and all of that sort of religious junk, I guess, that comes with that territory.
Yeah. In
the world that I was in, that's not everyone with belief systems. But even in that world, like my husband and I at the time were in charge of like the creative arts department. So like I was pulling together musicals. I was like producing back then, I guess, stage managing, producing, leading worship, creating, plays, Christmas things, Easter things. Like I was always doing it. So I feel like there's just this creative storyteller inside of me that's just always found a way of coming out, but in different avenues.
And do you think like because you were maybe oppressed from letting those things go when you were in that previous relationship or what you were in? Yeah.
Well, I remember we were married for about 10 years and it was around the 10-year anniversary that we actually went our separate ways. But before we did, we'd kind of left the church world and we moved interstate to try and work on our marriage. And we ended up right back in a big Pentecostal church and like same patterns all over again. Because, that's what he wanted. That's, and he's to this day is still in that world with his now wife and kids. And that's what they wanted, that's what he wanted. And it's just not what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I remember when we moved back from interstate, what did I read? I read The Artist's Way. Which is an amazing book by Julia Cameron. And that was a turning point for me. I would have been in my 20s and I was just like, I need to go study acting. I just wanted to do it as a job. Before I even met him, I wanted to move to Sydney and then I met him. I got involved in church and kind of my whole 20s was spent in that world. And this book really did just make me realize that's what I wanted. So I went to acting school. I did a 2-year advanced diploma in the city in Brisbane. And one of my final pieces was a piece from a play called Mud. And I had to do this scene where I had to kiss this guy. But the guy I was kissing was like the gayest man you've ever met. Like he doesn't kiss women,
Yeah.
And his boyfriend was sitting in the audience and my husband was in the audience. Anyway, we had this big, like ridiculous, like comedic kiss, like so big. No one kisses anyone like that.
Yeah.
It was stupid. And it was a big stage kiss. Anyway, and I remember he was so upset with me afterwards. Like, you know, like I had cheated on him, basically. That's what he felt like. I had cheated on him. And he was like, you never kiss me like that. And I'm like, no one kisses anyone like that. Like, it's
a production. Yeah.
Also, he's so gay. And that would have been so gross for him, kissing me. Like, at least I kiss men, but he doesn't kiss women. Like, come on.
Which would have just added to the whole theatrical performance of it all. Yeah.
So I don't think I was ever born out of a rebellion. I just always wanted to do it. And I found ways to express myself within the world that I was in. Yeah. But I do think that, as soon as our marriage kind of went its separate ways and I was no longer working in the church realm, I was involved in a musical straight away. Like I was, rehearsing, and that was where my life went, as soon as I had time to myself. So it's just something that's always fed me. But as I get a bit older, I think I am going through a midlife crisis. And my therapist can confirm. She was the one that actually said it at my last session. And I was kind of like, yeah, that's probably fair. She's like, it's a bit early. I'm like, well, yeah, I guess. I feel like I've been there for about 10 years. Not that I want it less and less, but I'm not as desperate for it.
Yeah.
As in, like, I could probably happily just watch movies now forever and be like, oh, well, I tried that once,
Yeah.
So but it's funny because other people perceive me as like a total hustler and so driven. And I guess I probably still am. I'm just not as fast as I used to be with it and not as busy as I used to be with it.
Yeah.
But I guess I'm still writing stuff and I'm still making a feature film next month. So
exactly.
I guess I'm still doing things.
I think you're just channeling it more into what you actually want to do maybe. And then it's funny how things just come to you when you sort of give up there.
It's the letting go.
Yeah, the letting go. The letting go is huge. It's everything.
I really have. And the same with like now when auditions and stuff come in, it's like, I just don't care like I used to. Like I care about doing really good work, but I also understand the odds, the chance of actually getting a call back, let alone landing the gig, is so slim. So I'm just going to enjoy myself and then I'm not going to care after that.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually the secret because that's when I do my best work.
I think so
and
too.
And that's usually when I book,
Yeah.
So
you just roll in, do your thing, have fun with it.
Totally.
Okay, that's done.
Yeah.
On to the next thing, whatever. It'd be cool to get it, but whatever.
Totally. Like, I got a call back for this crazy car ad last week before. And like, I did the tape and like also it's that whole frustration of like, fuckers, like it's such an interruption of my time to tape. And you probably asked 200 people to tape for this role or more. And you probably won't even watch half of them. This is for TV commercials, mind you. Like I know casting for a film is very different. And I've had to like shuffle my plans because I've got 24 hours to do this. I've got to set up all my stuff because it's an office ordinarily. Then I've got to put it down. Then I've got to cut it all together and then I've got to send it off. Like it takes hours by the time. And then if you're helping other people or you've got to rope someone in to help you. And so then,
which is most of the time,
Right, Like because your partner generally doesn't want to do that shit with you.
Or they're just waiting for the thing and there's no eye contact or connection.
Yeah, they sound like robots. And so I was like, that will fucking do. Like it was so bad. Like it just wasn't great. And like then also you don't know what they want because you're not in the room and they're not directing you or they're not on Zoom and they're not directing you. So you're just like, well, that'll do. Sent it off and like the second scene that I had to do was way big. But I was like, you know what? Can't be bothered. Just done. One take. That's it. Send it off. And I just wrote when I uploaded it, hey, went really big, but I guess you can always pull it back. Whatevs. Thanks, guys. Like just like, because I just, whatever. The chances are slim. And then I got a call back for Zoom. And and what they directed me to do in the Zoom was 100% the opposite of what I put on the tape. Yeah. And I was just like, cool, go figure.
You went for it and they still called you back.
And then I just let it go. Yeah. And then I think more than ever, like I used to always say, if it's meant for me, it won't pass me by. Now I actually like really believe that. Like when I got the call today about that role that I wanted to do. It was like, you know, a theatre gig and a director that I really wanted to work with. And the way they auditioned was just cold reads. And so you couldn't really prepare anyway. And I didn't know the play. And yeah, they were like, you were so beautiful, you're a great actress, but someone else just came in and it was just theirs. And I was like, you know what? I get it.
Yeah.
And as much as I wanted to do it, it didn't land on my lap. So it's just not mine. And so something better is coming. There's a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I've just gotten better at that.
Yeah.
Like,
as you do, yeah.
The more things are tested,
the
right?
more times you get rejected as well, or the more times you get used to the scenarios and you get your hopes up and you don't get it. You're like, you know, I kind of understand it. Plus, when you're on the other side of the table as well and you're producing or you're casting things, then you really do realize when someone walks in the room and actually you're just 100%. Like, I didn't actually even quite see it being played that way. And that's it right there. I mean, there was 3 or 4 other actresses that were amazing and would have cast any other day, but that was it.
And it's not even about who's the best actor. It's like we all have our own energy and essence. And someone can just walk in and be like, oh, that's the person.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think the more you understand that, the less you try as far as not doing good work, but trying to make things happen. You just can't. You can't make anything happen.
And the camera doesn't lie and you can see those certain things, the desperation of it all. And because everybody's like that when they first start out, right? And even, I mean, I'm sure even the natural, I mean, there is naturals that are just like amazing, but you try so hard and you're just like, I want this, you know, like you get like, especially big things that you get like a little bit part or something and you're like, oh my God, if I get to work with this director or even get to be on this set as cast, like, this is it. My career's going to take off,
you just wait.
Yeah.
This is my breakthrough moment.
Yeah, look out, Instagram.
Lol. Yeah.
But it really is a thing, eh? And it's something that comes with maturity and age, right? I think, or just the reps of doing this so many times over with the auditions and everything. And it's funny you say that about the like writing the feature and stuff yourself. Like I'm kind of going through somewhat of a similar thing, for especially with the realization as well of what you're speaking about, I think. And it comes with so many ups and downs in the industry and just I think it's also like, because you put so much energy and the blood, sweat and tears into everything. And it's like before you even get the role, as you say, I got to drop everything that I had organized. I had this dinner with my husband or whatever, you know, or family thing or whatever it is. I've got 24 hours to get this in. I got to shoot it. I got to try and con someone in. Well, not con someone, ask someone to come and help me with this. Like last minute, they've got plans too, but they get it because they're in a similar position sometimes. And you know, you hit them back in the same way. See everything out. Do the takes. Oh yeah, I think I'm okay with it. I used to do so many takes sometimes. Really? You know, like, and you're like, and then you got to go through all those takes again as well. And then you're like, by the time it's midnight and you've seen, you know, 10 or plus takes that you've done. And I like 3 of them, but 3 of them are so different from the other one. Oh, what one do they want? What do they choose? What do you feel's the best? Like, and that you're most natural in, but you get better with it.
100%.
Yeah.
And now, like, I had a girlfriend help me the other day and I said, all right, 2, 3 tops.
Yeah.
That's it. And I usually find it's either my very first take or the third.
Yeah.
Like I'll only ever do 3.
Yeah.
And if I get it within the first 2, I'm like, I don't need the third. Because like unless you're going to make some drastically different choices.
You're just doing the same thing. And
it's you're you, right? Like, so what you're doing, you're just bringing a certain energy and an essence to a role. Doesn't matter if you make, because they can direct you. What they're looking at is, does this person
find
look and
the essence
feel
of the role,
like what we're looking for? Yeah. Also, can you do the accent?
Accent's the thing. And
Make sure you hit your R's if you're doing an American accent.
Yeah, you've got a good American accent. You've got a few things on that reel that I looked at. That's good. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's funny that, and in some of the biggest stuff as well that you've done seems to be American as well, which is quite interesting. And that's what I laughed. It was like, a film like clearly done for American audiences, but coming to Australia and you did the American role in it, like the one of like 2 or 3 that are actually American. I was just like, would you look at that?
Yeah. So those guys are doing a lot of sort of, I guess, their Hallmark-esque vibe.
Yeah. The rom-com sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is few and far between these days as well, those kind of films.
Oh, here, there's a huge market for them. So I've actually been like, maybe I should go to Canada. Because a lot of the stars that they get out here, the female leads because they're cheaper than the male leads, motherfuckers. There's still so many discrepancies. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get the female leads usually from Canada. And they're women that work in this genre and have very healthy careers in this genre.
Yeah, okay.
So I was like, maybe I should go to Canada. So it's maybe on the cards. I probably want to do the last role I did with these guys. It was a decent role. I think it was about 4 days on set, which is kind of cool. When the feature film, the whole film is made in 12 days. It's nuts. So that was a pretty sizey role. So maybe I'll step it up to like number 1 or 2 on the call sheet by the next one. And then I'll head over to Canada.
Yeah.
That's if I'm still acting. I don't know. Don't know what life looks like from here on in.
Yeah, I looked at Canada for a few years back because I saw it growing. I could see what was happening with a lot of the productions, still big productions, but going to Canada for the tax breaks and the benefits.
Yes.
Why, like, obviously some of the American ones come here, which is great for us and everybody that gets work from it and the crew and everything. But yeah, I saw that happening in Canada quite a few years back, and I was like, oh, that, and whatever it was that held me back from doing that. And then
probably
I saw
fear.
No, I think it was,
That's what holds
going
me back,
by yourself, and doing that thing. But I know a couple of people from here have done it recently and back then as well. I don't know. I'm assuming they had some sort of success. Some of those people I sort of did mute on my social. Yeah, it was just
happy for you, mute.
Yeah, but for a lot of other reasons though too as well. But yeah, it did seem like the sort of thing. But obviously the whole pandemic stuff just threw a spanner into all the works of everything. And there has been a lot of stuff come here. So it's
and apparently there's more coming.
Yeah.
I hear.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear a lot of things, don't you?
I know. I'm like still waiting for that boom.
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely over that time, like there was a lot of the series that came here that wouldn't have. And I know a lot of people that did get opportunities and little breaks and stuff like that, which I'm sure you did as well, whether it be Sydney or here as well. And that really helped. And you're like, because it really is, it's so tangible. It's almost just there, and it's just one of those like roles or a bit part in something like that in a series, and then all of a sudden you see them on 2 or 3 other things working it. Like well, it's not unfortunate, it's just the way it goes, but it's like you got to prove yourself that you're on, you're cast and castable and you're on set. And once you've done that, and I mean, how many people keep getting recurring things, and even maybe they're not the best going around, but they've done one thing
and tested.
That's it kind of holds the weight over like the talent and sometimes, and it's kind of like gatekeepers, if you will, a little bit too sometimes as well. I mean, that's just from the outside looking in and taking yourself out of it, that it kind of looks that way sometimes. And like the bigger films that come here and they have the bit part roles, and it's always like this person and this person that's been on like 10 different series over
I mean, it's there's so much nepotism in this industry. Yeah. Like, I mean, everywhere. It's everywhere in life, obviously. But a lot of it is just about building good relationships and being, tried and tested and being known to be reliable and responsible and, we know that we get that person on set, they can do the job. Yeah. But it doesn't mean, there's not a whole lot of risk being taken with a lot of new talent.
Yeah. I feel, and it's like people like you and I that take the initiative and other friends that we know that start making their own productions that know great people and talented people and put them on, I think that's something to lean into like that. And I feel like the independent game is going to be so much more stronger for that again. And because it is there's so many big budgets and the CGI and all this that come with it. And it's like you or I can't afford to fund a production like that and it's pretty damn hard to get backing for that as well. And obviously there's incentives, and it's great what Screen Queensland does and other things, but and while it's great that it's been really inclusive to different cultures and things like that, now it's sort of gone a little bit the other way. And it's like, it's awesome. Like, I just want to see everyone have a go, but I really do feel like the best person should be in the role a lot of the times, right? Like it's just no matter race, creed, whatever's 100%. Going on, because it shows when things are placed
100%.
In there for it.
Like, I mean, I think it was definitely time. I mean, I hate saying for diversity, because it's just definitely just time to be like showcasing how we live on TV and film.
Yeah, for sure.
But it did feel a little bit token. and I even have friends who are of different race and color, and they would be like, oh, I'm just the token cast. And I'm like, that's really sad. Like, one, that they feel like that. Because then I feel like, you know what, guys, the pendulum didn't swing. Like, it just feels like, just feels yuck. Like,
we'll bring it over here for a moment and just hold it.
Does that person actually genuinely feel like I got the role because I was the best person for the role? Like, I feel like that would feel like a ripoff. And I guess that's where some of my friends probably have felt a bit like that. And then on the other side, it's like, well, I've got a couple of people that I know who have had incredible opportunities that they probably would never have had.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy for them.
And you just got to take it by the horn.
Totally. Yeah. And so I definitely think it's time. I think it's probably going to just sort of settle in to be our new normal. So thank goodness.
It'll neutralize. Everything always does eventually.
Because that's like, you look around the neighborhoods where we live and we work, and it is so colourful.
Yeah.
So it was time. I just think, like everything in life, there's always knee-jerk reactions to cover up what we haven't been doing, you know? Yeah. And so I think, you know.
And what's popular now and like what gets me.
Yeah. So I think, you know, I mean, it's definitely made it. I can't really speak to it because there's just no guarantee that if like, the whole swing towards like, you know, diversity and like kind of going overboard with making sure we, you know, represent everyone and every gender and every, you know, sexual preference, whatever. There's no guarantee if that didn't happen that I would have been any busier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it just had to happen, and I'm kind of stoked that I was part of the generation where that happened, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and yeah, because there's no guarantee that I would have worked more if, you know, the whites were still, you know, front and center. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just, it's like, it happened. Life is colorful. It should be represented everywhere. And actually, like, now when I like flick on Netflix or Stan or whatever, I love that, like, there's so many different series now.
Oh, yeah, there's so much.
People of all colors and cultures and beliefs are, like, being represented in, like, full series of, like, second and third seasons. And it's like, and there's no whiteys in there. I'm like, fuck yes. How good is that?
It's awesome.
Like, everyone's working.
And you learn stuff about cultures that you wouldn't have known if you weren't around it.
And like little people who want to grow up and be actors one day, or performers, or just aspire to be something that they're watching on telly, are inspired by someone that looks like them.
Well, yeah, they're like, I can do it. Like before there was no North Star to sort of focus on. Yeah.
So yeah. And I guess too, for me, it's like, well, you know, if I wasn't a part of this kind of era, then maybe I would never have discovered that I can write, and maybe that I would like to direct. And, you know, like, I just think, we just have to be ever evolving and adapting.
Yep.
We kind of got on a tangent there, but anyway.
That's what it's about.
Preach.
No, diversity is great. But that's the thing. A lot of the independent productions that I was on years ago, before this is even a thing, had always been very diverse anyway.
Just
like,
naturally.
Yeah, it's where I've grown up. Like in New Zealand, there's so many different cultures. Right. It's the same here as well. And it's just like, I don't know, like the
Catch on networks, catch on.
Yeah, it's always the powers at, you know, the powers that'll be up top. Like, we're naming names. Yeah, it's just like, you know, controlling the narrative. I know
that control media, so
yeah.
Anyways,
but no, it's great that you're doing that in the independent realm, and it's like, you know, like it always was a notion of if the roles weren't around, you should go out there and create them for yourself, right? Or you know people that are doing that, and you help produce that project, even if you're not writing it or what have you, because that person's really talented in that area. You're like, I love what you're doing here. I don't even care if I'm not in it. Yeah. Let's make this, and I'll help you make it. And you build those bonds and connections of people that you keep working with all the time. Like, that's the beautiful part about it. And so, I mean, obviously, you're feeling pretty good. Are you feeling overwhelmed by any of it yet that you're sort of taking on? Like, I mean, a feature's a big thing, right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, very overwhelmed.
And obviously it started out as a TV series that you were pitching, and then...
Oh, no, this is a completely different idea. Okay, yeah. This was basically just a really basic idea. Start off as like, make a film that's like improvise. Do an improvised film. Let's make it black and white. let's experiment with style. And so, yeah, it's going to be kind of a new wave, like a French sort of kind of voyeuristic, not like found film vibes, but yeah, still probably a fair bit of movement in the camera. And it's very artsy. And I've collaborated with a girlfriend of mine who's actually a visual artist. She's a sculptor. And so we came up with an idea and then we kind of workshopped it together, and it's so layered. Like, it's so cool. It doesn't have a title. Like, it's got a title, but it's a working title, so I don't want to name it.
Yeah, no, that's okay, yeah.
After I said to you, no, we can talk about anything.
I knew it was going to come around.
Oh, hilarious. I just don't want to like jinx myself at this stage. But all I'm saying to stop myself from feeling overwhelmed is that I'm just making a really cool piece of art with some friends.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it has been a pretty overwhelming experience because I don't want to produce. And I think when you're making your own stuff and you have to wear more than one hat, and like the creative person that I am wants to direct or act, you know, I don't want to produce. I don't want to do the boring shit and like ask people to do shit for me. And especially when I'm not paying them, it's all deferred.
Yeah.
So it's like, here's a contract, but I'll pay you later.
And we all know that doesn't always happen.
I want to be true because I really value the arts. And I just think, like, I look at me and I've dedicated like 25 years of my life to, I studied, I've spent so much money on all the platforms that you have to be on, you know. Yeah. And I just think that's worth something, right? And so I want to value my peers because I just so believe that we should get paid for what we do, even if it's not for like a big network or a big film. Like, there's enough money to go around for people to get paid to make smaller projects. Like, anyway, so, yeah, I don't want to produce, but it's one of those things that you just have to do at this stage. So, but I have noticed that when I'm talking to my cinematographer or I'm talking to the actors, I come alive. And so that is kind of what balances me out, I think.
You got a lot of juice in the tank because it is your idea and it's your thing that you're creating. And once you're like invigorated when you're around these people that are going to help you make the thing.
Yeah, and I watched two of my actors, there's only 3 actors in it, and I watched 2 of them do like this bit of a skeleton because it's improvised, but so I was actually meant to shoot this week. I would have wrapped today.
Yeah, okay.
And it got pushed a month because my cinematographer got booked on a really big gig.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's cool. And so we've pushed it to next month. And what that allowed, as much as that was like so overwhelming and stressful because like I'd booked locations and I'd booked in light gaffers and soundies and like and just everything because we were like, you know,
really
3 weeks out.
Yeah.
What it did give me was time to really work on story. And as much as I loved the idea of everything being kind of retroscripted, so like the actors knew their character, they know their characters, they know their journey, like they've seen the storyboard, but there was no script. So, you know, when like you write well, I don't know how you work, but when I write, I kind of like storyboard things with Post-its, and that's the scene. And then I pull the scene off.
I've got that going on in the other room. Yeah.
So that, and then you script that scene.
Yeah.
So as far as this got was just the Post-its on a board, and then I put that into a shot list.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of a very experimental process. And I said, guys, I just want you to improvise. Like, we're going to do a bunch of exercises. You're going to hang out and just get to know each other. They know what their trajectory is. They know the overall arc of the story and how their arc fits within that. So they know all of that, but it was just going to be their words. And when it came to crediting them, they would be actors and writers. So I was like, this is just cool. Again, like that true collaboration of like artistry where it's like, I don't have to know everything here. Like, I just have to be a good steward of everyone's skills.
Yeah.
And but when it got pushed, it gave us time to actually, you know, script some stuff, which now in hindsight is invaluable because it means that there's some key scenes where things need to line up between, you know, these guys and these guys. And so I was just like the other day, I was with 2 of the actors at one of their houses and they were just sort of cold reading the scripts that I'd written for their scenes. And I like welled up just like, you know, watching them just do a cold read. And I was like, oh, this makes me feel so alive. So it's been a wild ride because, like, part of me feels like I've been an actor all this time to now be a great director.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a really presumptuous thing to say out loud. But anyway, maybe that's my path from here on in.
Yeah.
Who knows? And I've just been wasting my time trying to forge an acting career.
It's a huge education though, and it's not
It's
like,
massive.
but that's the thing, you start delving into this road and then all of a sudden you're going to do that audition, you're going to go, I did it, and then you're going to get it, and then it's going to be huge, and then you're going to be acting and directing, and then you have more of a limelight on you and you're getting a budget, and then you're actually being able to do, bigger films. And
also just like from
the path you're walking.
I think from a creative perspective, like that excites me so much because I feel like I'm so capable. I don't know about you, but it's like, because I can paint and I can sing and I can act and maybe I can direct. I'm about to find out if I can or not. I mean, I help people with their self-tapes all the time and I think I get really good work out of them.
Yeah.
But I love that. I'm like, why do we have to be one thing? I feel like the society that we live in tells us we have to be this thing. You have to be a builder, or you have to be I don't know, a barista or a barrister, or you have to be, like this one thing. And I'm like, why can't I be like a zillion things and
enjoy myself while I'm doing it?
Love it all.
Yeah. Well, it's because that's the structure that they've set out to build the world that we live in, and it's gone to this point, and look at what's happening in the world, and nobody even knows the gender anymore and what they're doing, and they're throwing all things, obviously I don't not to speak on that too much, but just all these different things. No one knows where to place themselves anymore, and then you're putting it in front of a camera and you're putting it out for everyone else to judge you and tell you what you're supposed to be.
Right.
But that's how it empowered the people up top that are getting the money, and that are controlling all these scenarios while they're living the lives of luxury and doing whatever they want to do. But if that's fulfilling for you, go for it.
Well, I today was just like walking along going, fuck, why do people feel like they have to have full-time jobs and have to own a house? I mean, I've been there, done that. Don't get me wrong. I had a property portfolio back in my 20s when I was married and had my life together, apparently. I had 4 properties. And then it all went to shit. And it's been, and Matt and I have even owned property. He's a builder and we've sold. And now it's so hard for us. I can't get back into the property market now. And I'm I'm actually upper middle class, and I can't I can afford a home loan, but I can't get in. And I was just like, this is probably just where I'm at in life too, because it's, I feel like I'm about halfway through. And hopefully, because I don't really want to live past 80-something, boring. But and I'm like, why do we subscribe? We just swallow it. We don't even stop to think why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm going on a tangent, but
it's true. It's very true. I think it's because you see your parents do that, you see everyone else around you do that, so it seems like that's the blueprint to live the life, right?
Nothing for me. I don't care about your fancy car or your designer wardrobe or your stupid fuck off house. It's all nice, but it means shit.
Well, if you're still going home to it and you're miserable inside and you're you fill yourself with junk and this and the vices and the TV and everything else.
Yeah. I've been there though. I've been there. Don't get me wrong.
I think we all have at some point.
But lately I'm questioning the system so much.
I love that. I love the way you just put that. Yeah.
I'm just what? Yeah.
It's great.
Really.
I just lean into it.
Yeah,
just keep going.
I am. And to sound like a total woo-woo, but my meditations lately have been out of this world. I feel like I'm in the stars when I you do your breath work and whatever else, and then you just sort of sit and all of a sudden I'm I'm in space and I'm in the stars. I am the stars. It's just this whole what the hell is going on? It's so weird. And then last night I had this crazy experience. I think I was just extremely tired, but where my eyes were kind of I was probably just really tired now that I'm thinking about it. But I started seeing double vision, right? And I looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, it's the Matrix. Because it's just my meditations have been amazing. And it sounds crazy, but in a metaphoric way, I think that's where I'm at. I'm kind of just like, there has got to be more. There's got because I think that's also why I'm kind of thinking, like, do I really want to keep flogging myself? Like, why? Why do I want to keep flogging myself? For what? Like, so yeah, maybe I get to go to Cannes and win an award one day, but like, so? Like, am I happy every other day? Like, who will I be and how will I feel when I get to that? Will I be happy? Probably not, because like it starts now. Like, yeah, I don't know. So it's just really throwing me, and I'm just at the moment going, I'm just going to make stuff because it feels fulfilling, and I'm not putting an expectation on that or an outcome that I want to reach on that. I'm just going to do the thing and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that's the best view. I feel you so much right now. It's just, yeah, it's because like you go and do these things like, oh, you should go and do this workshop, right? You should go and do that workshop.
Stop doing
You
that.
should really get in front of this person.
Yeah.
You should really do that.
Thousands of dollars later.
Oh, so much money.
Yeah.
And whilst it is good and people do get get picked up and you want to be seen as well, I started to like, because sometimes you get nervous or what, it's all different things like for this, and you get the anxiety and you're learning the script and you've got to like get it down. You're like, oh shit, I'm in front of this class of all these people looking at me and I'm doing the thing. And obviously you got to put that out and do the thing. You got the training to do that and put yourself in it. But like the amount you go through and I had to realize, I just sort of said to myself, I was like, what are the parts that I actually love about this industry? What do I love doing? Find the love in what you do, because you're paying money to go and do that thing. And it's funny because I went and did the Tom McSweeney one recently. Yeah. And so went through all that, and even he said it like, everyone was getting really nervous before they go up, and we were started to call like
he's good at quelling that.
Oh, it's funny. And we were starting to call it like the Bermuda carpet, the Bermuda carpet, because everybody said you were good, and you go up there and you're like, oh shit.
Sweaty.
Just all the things that happen. And then, how did you feel about it? And you say, he's like, I didn't even see any of that. You're just like, you have no idea of the emotion that was building up in me, like, and whatever it is like that. And everybody had their own experiences in that way, obviously. And, but he goes, oh, guys, you shouldn't be nervous. You're going there. This is what you love to do. You've been learning the script all week to go and do this.
And you should be excited.
And I thought of it, and it's true. It's very true what he's saying, obviously. And everyone will take what they do with it. But where my mind went with it also was like, what I love about this industry is doing the thing. I love making films. I love being on set. I love collaborating with artists like that and getting those feelings, having those conversations, feeling the acceptance, if you will, or whatever it is, or the empowerment to do what you want to do, what's building up inside you, that it's okay to play those roles and be an absolute goose and just do whatever and go, okay, that was fun. Let's pull it back a little bit. But you went there, you tried the thing, you felt okay and safe, and you're facing the fear and the challenge of doing that. And there'll be magic in all of that as well that you capture. You're like, okay, let's tap into more of that, But it's just, I think, the love in what you're doing. And that's why creating something like that. And it's like, I've been writing this short film lately. And really it's kind of, I was seeing it as a proof of concept. And really I'm only narrowing myself because I know the budget it can take to shoot a feature film as well, though. And I was telling myself, like, I have had this idea marinating in my mind for quite some time of this heist film. And I love heist films and I wanted to do this. But I was just like, really, this is a feature film in my mind, but there's also other films that will lead on from this. And I was like, I'll do the short film because I know I can do that. I can rope these people and I can get these actors in because I know they're passionate and they'll do the job and they love it. And then maybe they will do it on deferred, like we were saying about before, because you don't have the budget. You want to sink it into at least capturing it, getting the right equipment or the right people with the equipment to get that. That's the main thing, capturing the art, the magic, And I was just like, and then I'm like, oh man, I think I can fit it into a short, but really this is easily padded. Padded out is not the right word. It's just giving them more characters, more backstory, because I'm someone that doesn't really like the shorts, if you know what I mean. If I'm doing a short, it's like 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? And most people are like, oh, you're not going to get into festivals with that. I'm like, do you think that's my goal? I just want to make this thing because it's here and I just want to get it out and it makes me feel better. And then I get to put my friends in it and we get to make something awesome, and you can see it if you want to see it. And it'd be cool, to show it off at a festival and, whatever else. But like I love storytellers, you know, like they're my favorite people. They're my favorite podcasters, comedians, actors, you know, those people that are just visually like, you know, a Tarantino film where you're watching this dialogue just to and fro, so much dialogue. And you're like, anyone else that does this, I'm going to be bored senseless. But it's him, they do it in such an artistic direction that you just like, oh, I'm in this. They could stay in this room for this whole film. And I'm just like enthralled by it, you know. And I was just like, okay, this is my thing. And so I started, are you familiar with the book Blake Snyder, Save the Cat?
No.
It's a screenwriting book. Like it's terrific. A lot of writers that I know and recommend this as one of like the first books kind of for structure and things, because I have a very vivid imagination and it goes off in the clouds, which I think you can relate to. And sometimes it's hard to harness that. And then you start writing and you're like, oh my God, I've gone on a tangent. And it was trying to find the structure, like after doing like, a feature with my mate who I consider a really good writer in this space, and seeing how he worked, I'm like, oh man, I pick up a script and I'm just like, dude, I have to, you know, you want to be in this, you know, because you're just like, these characters are amazing. Like I love the way you've done it. And that obviously goes through his imagination in the void and where these people get it from, but the structure to it to make the film make sense, if you know what I mean, and not just be ever running dialogue that you think's awesome. And trying to cut that out is hard once it's already down on paper. So what this does, and it's similar to what you've just said about the storyboarding and everything, they get you to come up with like the title and actually like the one log line for the film, so you stay in your parameters of the film kind of. But also once you get to the next step, you're storyboarding out the film with the scenes you definitely want in the film. So you're putting that up on a board. It's catered towards a feature film. And but because I've marinated on this idea for so long that I've been able to get like, it's not even squeezing everything. And, you know, like the act breaks, you know, the first, second act, the inciting incident, the A story, the B story, and the characters and how they come into everything and closing in, you know, and how that helps the, you know, the hero character or whoever it is. But getting those scenes up there, and I'm like, oh, because I've marinated on it, I've got them in, you know, it's in all the scenes, all these turns are here, and it's supposed to be for like a 60 scene or 40 scene feature film that I've somehow put into like a 15 scene, you know.
A lot happening.
There's a lot happening, but that's kind of cool though at the same time.
Well, especially for that genre.
And then when I looked at it though, I was like, what really does this justice? The only reason I'm putting parameters on myself is budget, really, let's face it. And then, you know, hearing you saying that, and I've the last 3-4 days since I've got back from holiday. Well, I got back from holiday the other week, but I've had time to like think it over because I got on a really writing spiel over there, like staying up late at night, you know, get it out. I'm like, this is juicy, you know, I love this. And like it ripped all my storyboard down that I had before I left. And then it's all up again differently, you know, and it's just because it's
well, that's what happens, right?
It does,
you write and then you rewrite.
And you don't want to be married to those ideas sometimes. There's always be the scenes that you want, but it is hard to kill that stuff off as well. Totally. If you've envisioned it for so long as well. But it's just like the last few days, I'm like, why don't you just do a feature, man? You can do it. It's going to require a lot more effort, yes. Yeah. And like you, like I want to be acting as well in it, you know, but I'm like, I see this so clearly that I feel like I should direct it as well, but it's like, that is a lot to take on because I will be producing it myself.
Oh God, I would
and
not
it's
even
scripted
attempt,
as well. So I think it's about finding a director that understands it once it's actually written and ready for someone to see like that. And, you know, just finding your person that you can do this with, whether it is a collaborative process of directing as well, because if you've written it, you know, I mean, obviously you're attached to it, but you kind of know the vibe and the feeling you want from these scenes, which is, let's face it, a directing portion. And that's just able to sync up with a cinematographer that gets that vibe. And then they bring their thing to it. They're like, hey, this would be really cool if we did it this way. Like, it would. And that's the collaborative process that I love with it all. But I just think I got to lean into it as a feature now. And it just, because it's like trying to I was going to call him up, my mate, and go, hey, man. And I know the answer to these questions, like, how long do you really think, like, short, you know, like, is it, you know, and it's like, how many characters do you think, like, you know, you see shorts and you could just do it with 2 characters and they're great, they're fantastic, and that is fun. But like the way I wanted to do it, it's like, I'm looking at 10 characters without even trying, like, to even expand it, you know, and I feel like the story has to be that way because there's the powers that will be that are controlling the situation. Like you said in this thing, there's like crime bosses that are like,
Oh my
controlling
God, it sounds like the film that we've written.
And maybe this was meant to be. It's been put off for this long for us to talk, and it's just on similar wavelengths of where we're at with our artistic journey and life, And I was just like, you know what? And I don't think it's doing justice to those characters if they're only shown in this fleeting moment just to help the hero character, in this scene. I think they need the backstory. And when I look at it, I'm just like, this is like the Ocean's 11 style. The first one is always the best, the come up, and then the other ones are great after, and you'll have a better budget to do the casino things that are leading into it, because it all leads into what the main, the next part will be. Yeah. But the come up is always the best one. Yeah. And how they get the misfits are getting together. You're getting your crew back together to do it. And I'm like, I'm just doing it. I just got to do it. Especially after hearing you now, I'm just like, I was already there, but it was just like, I'm like, I feel you.
We wrote, there's one that Cameron and I have written called Clowns on the Run. And so we've written it's in its second draft, I guess. And we were like, oh, right, we're ready for a table read. And then I sent it off to a dear friend of mine who's so experienced and a well-known, well-renowned director.
Yeah.
And sent it off going, be gentle, We were like, this is so awesome. Anyway, he came back and he was brutal with the feedback, which I'm so grateful for, because I'm like, well, you actually read it. Thank you.
Yeah, for one, yeah.
Yeah. But also so he loved all of the supporting characters. He thought they were all really well-rounded and quirky and great. And it was actually the hero characters, and actually not necessarily the hero, but the supporting role.
Yeah.
That it was a bit one-dimensional. And so anyway, so that now third draft will be basically just tweaks based on his notes. Then we'll probably do a table read. But then we were like, because then trying to pitch something to a production company who you've never worked with before, who don't accept cold pitches, right?
Mm.
A lot of them is you've got to know someone who knows someone.
Yeah.
And even then, good luck.
Yeah.
So what we were thinking was, why don't we make a proof of concept?
Mm.
So then we'd still get to show them the feel and the vibe. We make it a short, so it does the festivals, it wins some awards. And then we go, actually, it's a feature, here's our proof of concept. And so that's actually a really smart business model then, to be able to.
That's where I was.
You still get to do it all, right?
Exactly. That's where I was at before. Yeah.
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 Then you shoot your proof of concept, which is affordable and achievable.
Yeah.
And then you try and pitch it with that as a package. So that's what we're trying to do with that one.
Okay.
Unless someone reads it in the meantime. I just don't know that people can read things and always, we've spent a lot of time tonally writing it how, big text, how it would look, as in tone, which we've been very thoughtful with how we've described scenes and what's happening aside from the dialogue. But still, it's got to be the right person reading it with, they don't have our voices in their head. Do you know what I mean?
Imagination to actually see it in front of them, which the money people a lot of the times don't have, unless someone's telling them that this is going to be the thing.
The other thing was that we were going to try and see if they wanted to come to the table read. But again, we're no one. Unless we've got names at that table, probably someone who's head of content for a production company isn't going to spend their Thursday night sitting in a table read. I mean, they may. I might be surprised. But anyway, I think do it. Just do the thing and then figure out how to make it later.
Mm. Yeah,
if the full story's inside you, then
it's definitely there. Yeah, and I've been narrowing my vision, to try and fit it in there. And I can see how it would still work doing it this way. And what you said, it's a bit, and that's where I think my mind was at. Even though I do have a friend that said to me that he wanted to fund something that is, has a bit of money, but you just don't know. And it's, you don't, and it's if I go down the road of writing the thing as a feature, then I'm doing it. If I commit to starting to move that in that direction, I'm making it. No matter what, I'll make it, even if it's a year from now,
That.
Yeah, exactly.
They've spent 2 years of their lives writing and pulling it together, and then they shot it.
I admire that too. It's one of my friends, the first feature that I did was, he funded it all himself, and brought the equipment and stuff like that, over $100,000 worth of that.
That's
but then he could make the more things with it, and he really just backs his backs his nous and everything that he's doing and commits to. And I just respect that so much. It's amazing.
Ballsy.
It's so ballsy.
Yeah.
And using your own money to do it. It's just, when that could be, it's more than a house deposit. It's like,
totally.
It's amazing to see that. And that really pushed you to go, maybe I can do it, like it's just,
and
but
I mean, it's that old saying that fortune favors the brave.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Well, you're not a household name until, you've done something
until
like
you've
that.
lost it all.
Yeah. Well, I think you just have to, like you say, like it's like you get put into a box. There's one thing that I hate about perceptions of people or people perceive me or what have you is like you're always put into a box, and I'm like, where do you even see that? Like I'm couldn't be further away from that guy that you're saying. I'm like, you really don't know, and then you meet the people that know you instantly, and you get on with like that in your world and your realm, and you're just like, oh, thank God I'm not so alone. You know what I mean? It's like they see the value in you. But like people are trained down that path to see those, just the cookie cutter niche of somebody. And it's just like, open your eyes and look, don't stop looking then if that's what's like hindering you. Just feel it, you know, just be it and just see how it plays out, It's, I don't know. It's I think that's where art comes into it. Artists come into it is that they look at the different narratives, they're actually ballsy enough to take those things on and put them out. I mean, I don't know how many fantastic, talented singers I know that like, if I could sing like them, best believe I'd be putting that stuff out there, and just, they don't even want people to hear what they do. And it's for them. And I'm just like, wow. Like, that's it's amazing. And it's such a cool thing. But I'm like, people deserve to hear, you deserve to be heard, and like people to say what they think of it, because this is amazing. Like, and encourage you to do more of it. Yeah. It's always musicians actually that I've found. And I'm just,
but it's such a private, like music can be such an intimate private thing. Like I just started getting singing lessons again just this year. Which I put on hold because I was like, I'm not practicing and I'm trying to make a film, and then I was getting anxious about not practicing.
Things.
And then, that is me. Yeah. Overload all the time.
Oh, I feel you.
Overcommit. But and the singing teacher was like, so, why are you doing this? What do you want? I was like, well, I'm not going to be a pop star. So I just, I've always wanted to sing in a jazz band, and I'd done a show, I did a theatre gig, Cluedo, which is sort of like an interactive.
Like Cluedo, the game, board game?
It's like the board game, but it's like real life people. Like
That's
it's an
sick.
interactive, so you come and you solve a murder. And so it's partially scripted, but then it's improvised as well. So
That's
you
really
interact
cool.
with the audience. Yeah. So I did that, and then they had a live jazz band. And so on the last night, I got to sing a song with the band, and I was like, oh my God, like this is what I want to do with my life. Like, and so that's why I was like, oh, I'm going to get back to singing, because I hadn't sung for like 10 years.
I saw it on your Instagram, by the way.
Yes.
And I was like, I wanted to ask you about it. I was like, wow, I didn't know she could do that.
Yeah. Well, that was just a snippet.
It's very sultry, like kind of like you're embodying something different that I hadn't seen Candice do before. Like not that we really know each other that well, but it's just like, I was just like, that's cool.
I was like, there's more of that inside.
Yeah. You could see it coming out. You could see you having fun, like as you kept going and committing to it more and more. I
thinking about being nervous. Like, I hadn't sung in front of people for like 10 years. So that was like, ooh. But there's something about music that can be really private. It's funny you say that, because I was thinking of the soundtrack and the music to this feature film. I was like, I can do that. I can do this. Like, it's so funny. Like, part of me wonders if I'm delusional or if it's just part of being a creative being, where you just go, oh, yeah, I'll just do that. Like, I'll just get on the keyboard and I'll just do a few chords, and then I'll just, do a couple of riffs vocally, and that'll sound really cool over that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I just think, I can do that. I just feel like, oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do anything.
It's both. I think. It goes hand in hand. Yeah.
So that's also what I want to do. It's sort of like, I may as well showcase everything that I can do. I can showcase my writing, my directing, may as well showcase a bit of singing, and that's, I think, the beautiful thing about doing your own projects is that there are no rules. So if you want to act in it, you can act in it. If you want to direct it, you can direct it. If you want to do your own music, you can. Like, I just think there's so much liberation in that process. Financing it isn't as liberating, but
that's the other thing,
But yeah, I think just go for it.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's the name of the episode. Just go for it.
Go for it.
But that's, and I think also because, you feel such a vibe, it's such a being within you, and then you're putting it to paper and then it's coming to life in front of you. Like you're tapped into the thing. It's so hard to get that as an external source. Like obviously you bring in people like other actors and things like that, but, and if it's going to work for the project or it's not, right? But then like the music thing can change such a vibe for the whole show, or the whole TV series or the whole film and everything like that you're getting people to see. But if you're tapped into that, you're just like, no, I can feel this. It's so hard to tell a producer or another musician, although that can go another way as well. I know I worked with one on the short film I did. I got I had a mate doing the sound, and I don't even know where I found this guy. I think it was shout out to Robert Siddiqui over in Melbourne, because I think it was Facebook, like in one of the groups, and I just posted around about it. And he's like, oh, this sounds interesting, like I do this, he plays the guitar, he does all this stuff, but he's composed like all the tracks for it. And I just got onto the phone for this guy and we're talking about the film, and just like straight away we just clicked. I knew this guy, and I'm just like, oh, he's the one. And like he just, all the music he was just vibing on, like this, he's like, I got something for this, and seen it through, and I'm like, that's it.
Right.
Like, straight away. And I mean, I wasn't even the director on this. I directed some of the scenes, but that was because my mate was in it with me. That was the director. But it was just, and then he heard that, he's like, I mean, we couldn't have even found this if we tried to explain it to someone. I'm like, I know, man, this is just how the vibe that I had with this guy. And it and he did the whole film, and cheap, like, like a couple of hundred, I might have paid him $300 or something like that to do it.
People are desperate to
express themselves.
Express themselves and do a thing.
And they're more talented than what you can pay them. But it's just like, I can't, I'll even hit them up again if I'm on the next thing, or I recommended them to other people, and it's just, that's the beautiful thing, I think, about art and about, the industry we're in with that. It's just that collaborative process. I think it's just so amazing. And I want that. And that's another reason for doing the podcast, is I want to put people on that have the same, the same thought process, the same journey, and what they want to go through. And I think it's inspiring for other people to hear about what you're doing, your journey, and everyone else, because they can take that on for themselves, and it's just, and they feel, oh, okay, I'm not alone in this. Like, I know I can do these things that I wanted to do in the background, and maybe it won't take them the 10 years or whatever plus to realize that they can do this stuff, and they should do this stuff if that's really what they want to do.
Totally. Yeah, no one needs to give you permission. I think, because I was like, I can't direct. I didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
It's like, you've been on sets for 20-something years. Like, you've seen it all.
Picked up a thing or two,
And also there's different types of directors, right? Like there's technical directors. There's directors who are actor directors, like who bring out performance. And I'm like, well, that's obviously what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
But it's like we're waiting for permission to change lanes. And it's like, no, you can just do whatever you want.
Well, the whole thing of this is an artistic expression, but it's also, the rules are there to be broken. You don't know this thing is a thing until somebody else does it, and gives you, oh, okay, maybe I can do that, but you shouldn't have permission to do that. I mean, obviously there's realms that you maybe shouldn't go into, but I mean, whatever, if you want to do it, you do it. You might not just get on YouTube. It might not be allowed, but that's just, I think, it's a new frontier that you're breaking through those third walls or whatever it is that you're going for, that we should be applauding each other to do.
I think so. And I think for me, the shift is, because I used to do all the classes, and there's nothing wrong. I think it's great to keep investing into your craft. But I guess when I added up all of the money that I had spent on, studying for starters, and then, workshops, and then different courses, and some of them are pretty expensive, and you feel like, if I don't do this, then I won't get noticed, and something clicked, and I was like, all of that money that I've been spending, and quite often I don't enjoy those environments either.
This is where I
come away feeling really dejected and like this, I'm not a good actor, like there's something wrong with me, because I just didn't vibe with their style. That's all it is. Yeah. But you don't often know that in the moment or for months afterwards either. Yeah. And so part of me was like, rather than spending all that money coming away, not really getting anything out of it that edifies me, why don't I just spend that money on doing something that I can just do that regardless of what it looks like in the end, I'm learning during that process. So if that's making a short film, which I did a couple of years ago, and it was a flop, but I learnt I just learnt more about filmmaking, and I learnt how to direct actors. I learnt how to direct myself as an actor, because I was co-directing with a friend. And I was like, that's invaluable. So rather than spending money and just going to stand in front of a camera and do a self-tape, everyone's doing self-tape classes. And it's like, oh my God, I know how to do a self-tape. If someone was doing a scene work class, I would be there in a heartbeat.
This is exactly
I want to do
what I was getting
scene
to.
work. I want to work. I don't want to stand up and then you tell me how you thought that scene should have gone because you saw Angelina Jolie do it a certain way. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to be like her. Doesn't do anything for me creatively. And I think that's been wild. And that's where I've developed such a sense of self and confidence and empowerment as a creative that's what makes me feel unstoppable. So that then when I do walk into a casting room or I put down a self-tape, I'm like, I'm not begging for your approval, because I've got all this other stuff that I do, it is just, I think if I'd learnt that a lot earlier, I'd probably be a little bit further along the path. Or maybe not.
But
maybe this is exactly where I'm meant to be.
I think so. I totally think so, especially hearing you say it. Yeah. And I understand exactly where you're coming from because that was the same thing for me. I was like, I know it's good to do this and get in front of people and do these classes, but I mean, and I do get things from them that can take me better to self-taping. Even when I was halfway through doing Tom's one, I had a self-tape class. And as I said, I usually do a few takes and I was actually able to do this one by myself. Great. But first take, and I watched the back, I'm like, oh shit, that was pretty good.
Great.
I'm like,
send.
That's it. I'm like, I'll just do one more just to do it. And I did probably 2 or 3. I just did the 3 takes, but I already had it on the first one. And I was just like, I think that's probably the best tape I've ever put down, Great. And I was just like, sweet. So I got, because you're warm, you're doing the thing, as well. But, so I got other things from it and letting go of worried about knowing the lines in a lengthy script. That was another thing that is an Achilles heel for me sometimes. But it's in my head a lot of the times too. And it still plays me even though I know it, you know it. And then you do something, you're like, I get down on myself sometimes and I'm doing it. I'm like, God damn it. I know this.
We all do that.
Yeah, I think so too. But and that was the same for me. I got better at taping. You have to get better at taping, these auditions. But I'm like, I enjoy doing the actual scenes, physically being with somebody in the scene, and I get somewhere and there's a thing there, a tangible thing between you, and it's going somewhere and it goes different places, and you're like, it really feels alive. And I know. And I can honestly say that's only happened to me in, handfuls of times, between the amount of times that I've done things on set. And I'm like, what is with that? How did it tap into that? And I mean, it is being maybe better prepared or having better skills to tap into it yourself. But I don't know, I'm not sure.
Again, it really depends on who you're working opposite too.
Definitely.
Are they willing to meet you where you're willing to go?
Yeah.
Because I've definitely I've had those experiences and I've had other experiences where I'm like, I'm so alone in this scene right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's so hard to not manufacture, you know what I mean? Just stay, just work with what they're giving or not giving you,
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really lacking is so many self-tape classes, but no one's teaching someone what to do once you get the gig. So you land the gig because you did a good self-tape. Now what are you going to do? Do you know how to analyze your script and your character, or do you just know how to carry a scene further than just I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say.
Are you just saying words and you've got the look right for it?
I don't know. They're 2 very different experiences. And I think that's what I crave, which is why I kind of audition for theatre and do theatre every now and then, because it's essentially scene work.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do in rehearsal. You work on scenes and you find things in the script, which then that process helps me be better at self-taping. And then if I do book the gig, then I know how to do it,
Yeah.
And I learned all that in theatre school. But that's why I probably do the theatre stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's where I find that sense of enrichment. Because there used to be an amazing class called Scenorama. Did you ever go to that?
I never did it, but I knew about it. Yeah. I was like on the cuffs of trying to get in to do the thing and, and then it kind of
fizzled.
Yeah.
And became the factory, and I think that's fizzling now. And it's hard to sustain that kind of, wouldn't call it a program, to facilitate something like that that's run by actors for actors and like a drop in. It was that is where I did the most growing as an actor.
Yeah,
So I was working with I was fresh out of acting school, and I was working with people who were like real working actors, and oh my God, you felt something with them every time because they were just so embodied, and they just get it. They're just artists who are living, breathing this character. And so I think when you feel it, it's because you're working opposite someone else who is doing the same.
Yeah.
Opposite
and they're
you.
open to the connection.
They're looking for it in you.
Yeah.
They're not worried about my lines. It's like, I don't care if my lines drop because I understand what this scene is about and what I want from you in this scene.
Yeah.
So even if I drop my lines, I know where to take the scene. I know where it's going to go because intrinsically I understand what's going on here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's a lost art form with the way, and I shouldn't say it's lost art form. I feel like with casting a lot of people who are, Insta famous or, celebrities or whatever else, sometimes they instinctually have it, and that's why they use those people because they're just so natural in front of a camera because they're not trained and, you know what I mean? And they're just instinctually.
Yeah, I've seen musicians, like rappers and stuff that we've had on and
it's
just
just perfect.
I've never done anything at all and you just give them a few things and you're just just stay sort of in this realm and the camera's over here and just feed off that person. You're fine, bro. You're a natural, just go for it. Yeah.
But that was part of the reason why I wanted to make the film that I'm doing so improvised and I cast specifically actors that I knew wouldn't be afraid to not have a script.
Yeah.
And that I knew could just make it look like real life. And I think that's what's missing is the opportunity to be able to do that, And there's definitely improv around, but a lot of the improv groups are all about just making people laugh, which is cool. I love that, sort of that SNL vibe. But I think if I could find somewhere that was all about scene work, I would totally go.
Yeah.
But I'm not really interested in doing any more self-tape classes.
Yeah. No, I felt the same way. After coming out, I was like, yeah, cool. I learned some stuff. It was fun. Good to get, in front of them, do the thing. And just other ones that I've done before. But scene classes are where I feel that and feel like I'm growing as well.
Totally, yeah.
And doing the thing, doing the films. And that's where I went back to and went on that realm after it. Because, I got a little down because I didn't feel like I did as well as what I know I could have done, and I did. I got in that bit of a spiral in my head of it and went down and then had to come back up. But I think it was a natural progression of where I was at and needed to go through to get to the thing of the more fulfilling part of what I want to do and why I started doing this in the first place. It's just because I love to make films.
Yeah.
I love to do the thing. I love to connect with people and do that. So that's what I'm going to do.
That. And I mean, that's what they all do in Hollywood. They all work with each other over and over and over again.
Yeah, the same directors have the same actors. Yeah. And I mean, and it matters a thing to have that not dependency, but people are going to do the job, but also, you just you love working with the people. That's the best part.
Dude, you're so funny. Let's work together.
Yeah.
On the next 10 films.
Yeah, because the magic gets captured either way. And I love improvise too. That's it's really fun to just throw everything out the window and just do. And then you automatically, once you can let go, if you've got that ability, then you're really living in the moment straight away, right? And it's so organic and it can just go anywhere. And sometimes it can be very stupid and maybe not quite where it needs to go, but it's still fun doing it though, right? That's the best part.
Totally.
But that's why I was so excited to work with you when it was on Hard Knock Live when you got casted there.
I still feel so embarrassed. Talk about going too far.
It was amazing.
It's hilarious. I still remember that because I just moved back to the sunny coast for Matt's footy. And I was like, someone's making something on the coast. Cool. Okay. And I remember going to the library in that little room.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we actually did the audition at the reception area.
Oh, I did an audition for it. I got it because, yeah.
Yeah, but like when I got a callback or something for it. But I remember doing the scene with you.
Yeah, we did it at
in
that
like
school.
a library.
Yeah, we did it at that school.
Oh, was that us filming it? Well,
Yeah,
I thought that was the audition.
Well, I don't know because I wasn't in the audition. I had nothing to do with
I
the
can't
casting
remember.
process. But I know we shot it at that school. And yeah.
I just remember being in a library going, this is so weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if you auditioned for it at the start or
maybe
not.
it was someone else that I did that bit with. But
Well, we definitely did it in a like a library
it was
or an
like
office.
a room, and then
there was like
that
a
was
computer.
you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Someone else.
Yeah, no, that's where we shot. Yeah, that's where we filmed it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that was over the top.
yeah, that was fun
That's
though.
my specialty.
You came in so hot.
Yeah.
It was so funny.
You're a
I'm
dick.
just like, oh my God, this is better than I could have hoped for. And because my character's very reserved in the scene, and I was just like,
And the more you pulled back, I was like, yeah, this is fun.
yeah,
I'm
you
gonna
really
make
went
feel
for it and got on my
so
face.
Uncomfortable.
Oh, it was so fun.
Oh, that was like probably back before like the Weinstein stuff where like you didn't really ask permission. I was just like, I'm just going to surprise you.
Yeah,
And
because
now I'm
you
like-
started taking off your shirt,
yeah,
right?
I was like,
And-
now
yeah.
it's like, so do you mind if I touch you? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I feel like some of that's gone too far. But that was like obviously before all of that even happened. So it was just like, surprise! I'm just going to like get off in your grill.
Oh
and,
man, it was so funny. And I think even the kid that was acting in the scene with us was just like just played for his character. He didn't know what to do
Yeah,
either. And I'm
yeah.
just like, dude, I don't know either. She's crazy.
Sorry in advance. Oh, God.
But that's great to not ask permission because then you get the natural reactions out of it
Totally.
too. And then you can just go with that into the scene. And it was just, it couldn't have been any better for
Yeah.
that. But yeah, you certainly bring the crazy
That's
in that one.
hilarious. How did that series go? I never actually got to. Was there a premiere?
Yeah,
I
they
never
did
actually
do
got
one
to
up the
it.
coast. Honestly, it turned out a lot better than what I thought it was going
I
to.
love
When
that
that's fun when that
happens.
happens because you're there for so many scenes and doing it. We did 6
Yeah.
episodes of that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it was over a lot of times. We did a lot of pickups and things like that.
Yeah.
It was definitely dragged out over a period
Yeah.
of time. And you're just like, I'm not even sure what we did anymore,
Yeah.
and then it gets cut together and you're pleasantly surprised in a room full of people too, might I add. And I'm sitting
Yeah.
with my mate and we're like, how do you reckon this is going to go? I'm like, dude, I don't know, but let's just sit back and just no
Yeah.
expectations, which is what I take to anything that
Mhm.
I'm watching in a film. I just want to, I'm just
Yeah.
going to be entertained and enjoy it, and
Mm,
we'll see where we come out the other side of it, because you go in with the expectations. I think that's the thing that can damn you in any film you're watching or
I
whatever.
always go in hoping that I'm good.
Well, that too, yeah.
It's like that's
I more mean something you watch as in a film like that you're
gotcha,
consuming
I thought
yourself.
you about going to watch yourself.
But
I'm
no,
like,
that-
God, I
that's
get
a whole
so
nother-
nervous. I'm
that's-
like sweaty palms.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother kettle of fish.
I'm like, and if I'm sitting with Matt and like I know in the story where my scene's coming up, I
Yeah,
like
and you
squeeze
just-
his leg and I'm like, it's coming.
Because you're okay for the first few minutes, right? When you're a little bit out, and then you're like,
It's coming. It's coming. Oh my
throw
God, there
away,
it is.
just clenching slightly, just waiting for it to come on. It's such a thing that you get better at, though, right? Well, I know there's a lot of people that don't like watching themselves. Have you got better?
I don't love it.
Yeah.
I'm very critical. Very critical.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think most artists are.
But then you get like once you can take yourself out to a certain extent, take yourself out of it, and you are highly critical. You can see where you can improve, but obviously that can be detrimental too
True.
if it goes the other way.
I often sort of watch things and think, well, what I do is like if I've had a day on set, I often then on the drive home think about all the different ways that I wish I'd done it.
Yeah.
And like depending on the budget, I mean, even like some of these bigger ones that I've been on, like it was literally 2 takes.
You get to
and I
it,
was like,
yeah.
do you want more? And like it was film, not
And
even TV. Like TV, I'm used to it being super snappy and like, 2 takes, that's it, moving on. I'm like, well, my line was wrong. Well, whatever, we're going to get it in ADR.
Edit around it, yeah.
But yeah, I think about it on the drive home going, I should have, that would have been really funny, or that would have been like more truthful, or, on the way home. And then, so by the time I get to see it, I forget what it was that I did because it's been so long.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that was all right. Whereas once upon a time I used to cringe, whereas now I'm like, oh no, that was all right. even like that Hood Safari trailer. I mean, again, that's not really a character I would normally play. So I guess my biggest thing is like, I know when I was doing those scenes, I was in it. Like I was really messy and like I was not a very nice human being in those scenes. But watching it back, I'm like, does that come across though? Or does it look like it doesn't fit on me? Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm kind of,
But I think if you felt that way when you're doing it, that's always a good sign. Well, that's what
you hope, right? You hope that carries.
Yeah.
And then I think I just can't trust my own judgment when I watch myself back.
Yeah.
Because I'm always going to be super critical.
Highly critical, yeah.
And I think that's pretty normal for a lot of people.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, like even self-tapes lately, I'm like, I just can't. There's some that I'll watch back and go, it's funny. As I've gotten older, I've really lent into comedy. Like I really enjoy comedy. I think that's more just what I want to do. Like I love directing the drama stuff with other people. I don't really enjoy conjuring up those kind of feelings anymore.
You are a good dramatic actress.
I have access to all of that, but I don't enjoy it like I enjoy comedy. I love playing the straight man and like saying the stupidest things but really seriously and making people laugh and then not laughing. Like I love staying in that. Like, and so those tapes I'll watch back and go, that's really good. You know, I'm really good. They should cast me. I'm really good in this.
Yeah.
But like anything kind of Girl Next Door or like more dramatic, I really struggle to watch myself. I think because now all I see is me aging.
Yeah, it's a thing.
And I'm just like, oh, like, whereas at least when you're like being funny and silly, no one's looking at like, if you're pretty or if you're young or if you're old, it's like, you just look like a fucking idiot. That's hilarious. And I think I find safety in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I'm actually like struggling with the whole aging process and kind of feeling irrelevant and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that's just because of what I do for work or whether like being in the industry or whether that would be who I am regardless. Maybe that's just who I am regardless. I'm just shallow and insecure about my appearance.
We all go through that part of it. I started to feel a little bit that way myself when I went through a dad role the other day. And it's the first one I've ever had to do.
I've been going for those for 10 years, babes. You're right.
Which I don't mind. But I'm just like, I said it to the boys, like we got a bit of a group, a few of us that were down shooting on that Nautilus show. I was guys, I just went for my first dad role. Like I've reached that point and they're like laughing because they're actually dads and they've like been doing it. They're a little bit older than me. Yeah. But they're just like, they were giving me shit, but it's funny. But I was just like, okay, we've reached that point because usually I was the guy next door or whatever and it was just, all I had, you just have to smile and do your thing, you know, and whatever it is. And it's just like, you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, like the looks last for a while, but it's just like when you smile, you get some of the wrinkles come out. And I'm just like, shit, I've been, thinking about that a bit lately. And I'm probably not gone through it yet, but I'm just like starting to, I'm just starting to
brace yourself,
think about that stuff as well. But I think, we all do, and we hit it at different times, right? And it's definitely aggravated, for lack of a better word, from the industry that we're in as well, of a constant thing of looking good, right? And like how many people you get the makeup and you get all this thing, and like there's like a lot of older actors playing these younger roles, and you're just like, it's not quite selling it for me anymore. Like, but it's just the industry. But I think what you lean in, you're taking on other characters and that's why you do the thing, like that's what you get fun out of. Like, and as long as you're having fun, that's the main thing, right? But I think once you're, you're tapping, you start to find your lane and what you enjoy more and tap into, because you seem like you can, you bring the crazy and do the crazy eccentric roles, but it feels like that's like your inner play child, like coming out of what they want to do. And I think
the little girl me.
And I think that's great because I can totally see you doing all that stuff, but I've seen you do the dramatic work as well and just been like, whoa, and, I recently watched your reel just before and stuff like that. And you said it was old, but I'm just like, you've got it there. You've got all the wells to tap into, you know.
Yeah.
But
it's just not fun anymore. Like I feel like it was fun when I was younger because I was like, look at me.
But now you've lived dramatic stuff, you know. Like so it's I mean, sure you can tap back into it if you need to, and that's part of being an actress, obviously, or actor or whatever. But now you're like, okay, maybe I'm, you know, like you wanted those roles maybe before as well.
Yeah,
you know, but now you're finding.
Now I just want to laugh. Life is so serious and like, I don't know. I just want to do fun things.
Yeah. That's it. And we can end on that note if you like.
Oh, cute.
Just doing the fun things.
Just want to do fun things.
Find the love in it. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah.
It's been awesome having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, I'm glad we finally got to do it.
We went on a whole lot of different tangents.
Oh, we did.
Sorry for all the waffle.
That's the best part about it. I mean, we almost did 2 hours just then,
Holy
basically.
heck.
So, and I was going to ask a little more on the, I don't know what that was.
Was not my phone.
It sounded like a foghorn or something.
There was again.
I don't know what that was. And now it stopped.
We
We seem dramatic. I don't know. No, about the cult and stuff like that you were in. But I
that's
feel
a whole other thing. I'll send you the pitch document.
Oh yeah, I'm just like, no, we're going on a beautiful pathway with everything else, and it's got all the good things of all the turns and finding out about you and everything, that how you tick and what you're going for now, what you're experiencing next, and you've been very open and honest, and I love that, and that's what it's about, and people get a lot from this. I know that.
I hope so. Hope it's not just me waffling.
No, it's great. I always find these therapeutic too, by the way.
I hope so. I was like, oh God, like who wants to listen to me talk about whatever I have to say?
Look, I thoroughly enjoyed it, so I know other people will and get a lot from it. So yeah, thanks for coming on, Candice. And I look forward to seeing the film and everything else you're doing.
Well, look, the goal is Cannes. We want to go to Cannes Film Festival. I have an amazing cinematographer. So yeah, we're dreaming big.
Yeah, that's good. And that's what we do.
Yeah.
I love it.
We'll see.
We will.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you're welcome. I was going to say something else.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Are you going to edit that bit out?
No, I'm going to keep it. We end on a laughing note. That's good.
Classic.
Righto, guys. That's us. We're out.
Bye.